What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock, what you should be looking out for the future. I'm also going to do some in-depth technical analysis and give you guys my price prediction for tomorrow based off what the charts are showing and based off what the data is suggesting. I'm also going to do an analysis on the SPY, talk about how this may affect Tesla, and also break down some important news from the man, the myth, the legend himself, Elon Musk, that are very important for Tesla going forward. Now, before I break anything down about Elon Musk, before I talk about what's going on with Tesla, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Don't take any of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. Not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. And the best part is, any of these 12 free stocks could be a free Tesla share. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in just 8 days. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So anyways, guys, looking at Tesla, this thing is down over 4% for the day. In my video from yesterday, I mentioned that there was a lot of potential for Tesla to hold above 290 for the large majority of the day. But if this thing somehow did drop below 290, the next key zone to watch would be that 285 range. And what happened was Tesla bounced off 285 pretty well. We actually held above it and we did end up closing down about 4%. But I want to actually talk about why on earth Tesla did close this way, why on earth we may see a little bit more blood to come, and how this could really be shown in SPY as well. So if you don't know what SPY is, it's just an ETF that essentially tracks the S&P 500. And there is something very interesting we could see right here about it. So what happened was SPY also had a very similar setup to Tesla, came dropping down just from the get-go, coming just down and down and down. And we got a nice bounce off that. It was very close to that 373.5 range right over there. So nice bounce as buyers started to step in. If we look at the overall intraday volume, we can see right here, lots of volume right over there as more and more of these buys were coming in. So what's important about this is the fact that we are getting some buyers, at least for the time being, but overall the bulls are just not looking as strong. Now, one thing people are talking about that's very important, and I want to actually talk about why this is kind of significant, but at the same time, you have to watch for other things. But anyways, people are talking about how we have this bullish divergence on the SPY right here because we had RSI very oversold right near the very beginning of September. And now we're at a much lower range in the share price, but the RSI is actually higher than before. So that could be actually a bullish signal. However, here's my argument about this. So does this mean that we're just going to bounce and start to rally? The answer is no. And even if this does suggest that, we don't truly know and we can't confirm it unless we start to see a lot of buyers step in the market at these lower ranges. Now, is it possible for that to happen? Sure, but it's actually more unlikely because so far we're still seeing lots of chop and lots of fear really spreading in the market. If you look at the fear and greed index, right now we're very, very close to that extreme fear mode, and the markets are still kind of panicking as of right now. So, could we get a bounce tomorrow on SPY? I mean, it is possible, but right now the overall trend still looks bearish. So, even if we do bounce just a little bit, I don't expect this thing to just start rallying. I do anticipate even more downside to come, and SPY looks like it might actually retest 370 from here. As a result of that, there is something very important going on in Tesla. If we look at the daily chart, if you look at the overall trend, Tesla's looking like this. And what you'll notice is Tesla has this weird pattern where we kind of like bounce off this trend line right here. And this is actually, let me draw it like this. So this is actually something Tesla's been bouncing off of for quite a bit of time. And you'll notice that recently we got that, 314 rejection multiple times on Tesla. Then since then we actually started kind of declining from there. So it's looking like we're going to get a retest of this trend line, and that retest would take Tesla to the low 380s very, very soon. Could I see that happening as soon as tomorrow? Very, very possible, guys. So please be prepared for that. We could see Tesla enter the low 280s. And then after that, we should get a nice bounce. If we don't even bounce off this trend line, things could become very bad from there. However, we do have strong support at around 280. So hopefully that does hold us, and hopefully we get a nice bounce off that very soon over the next couple of trading days. So one thing that's very important to note is when you look at a Fibonacci retracement, if Tesla does break below 280. I'm going to be watching 268 to 264. That's another very, very key zone where the point 382 is. So please be very careful around this. I'm not saying this is going to happen tomorrow. I'm saying it is a possibility for Tesla to enter over the next couple of days if we do break below 280. Now, I do anticipate a lot of price action to happen between 280 and 290, but until we get there, we have to see the bounce first, and that's why I'm going to be watching for this for tomorrow. So for tomorrow, what am I essentially anticipating for Tesla? Let me just show you guys this right here. So max pain for Tesla and SPY is actually a lot higher. Let me actually show you the max pain real quick. So Tesla's max pain is at 301. There's still a lot more puts than calls being bought. And this could actually be a sign that institutions may try to bring Tesla down and SPY down, but it's not always going to work in their favor when they go this hard on the put side. We've seen that happen in the past. The only problem is the sentiment of the market is just not confident, so buyers are not stepping in like before. For SPY, very similar story. Max Pain's at 388. I don't see SPY coming to 388 or even getting close to that. So that's the reason why it looks like the bears have the edge for the time being. This suggests that tomorrow Tesla might actually come down a little bit harder. We may see something very similar, but then I am anticipating a bit of a bounce to actually come as well. So what do I mean by that? Well, let me just get this to adjust. Tesla tomorrow might actually retest 280. Very possible. But after that, I'm hoping we get a nice bounce off 280 from there. So right into the open, there might be a lot of like panic kind of induced into the markets unless we get like a temporary balance and we kind of continue to push up from here. I'm not seeing it. I'm anticipating Tesla might try to push up a little bit more. And as we approach like the low 290s, we could get a big rejection. I'm anticipating that Tesla is going to start coming down like this. It's going to end up touching 285, and I'm not sure if that's going to hold. If this thing doesn't hold 285, very possible, guys, we could actually come down tomorrow and actually retest 280. Now, at 280, I'm hoping we get a nice bounce. So that's what I'm essentially predicting. We get a nice bounce off that. We continue to push up like that. 285 becomes a resistance zone because that's where we bounced off previously. So previous support becomes resistance. Tesla tries to push up even more. We could actually get a pretty decent power hour where we actually push up a bit, but I think we're going to come just short and close very close to that 285 range for a somewhat red day for tomorrow. So I'm basically predicting a move kind of like this. A more bullish move would be we end up bouncing at either 285 or 280, and then we continue to push up from there. I don't know if that's going to happen. I think it's kind of unlikely considering how bearish the majority of investors kind of are, unless the market makers want to kind of trap the shorts, right? Very, very possible. But the most likely possibility seems to be a move kind of like this, where Tesla does retest 280, which is where that trend line was, get a nice bounce off that, and actually hold and close very close to that 285 range. So that's what I'm essentially anticipating. I'm not guaranteeing that this will happen. It's just one possibility. Now, if Tesla does push up tomorrow, watch the key zones. Firstly, 290 is going to be resistance. We break past that, then 295 becomes resistance. Break that, then 300. I don't see Tesla really doing that, to be honest with everyone. If Tesla comes down, watch 285, that's going to be support. Break below that, then 280 is on the table. We do have pretty strong support right here, so hopefully we bounce off here. If we come lower, if Tesla does end up dropping, watch for 275, followed by that 270-268 range, which is what I mentioned earlier. Now, do I see us dropping that low? Not necessarily, but it is a possibility. That's why you always have to be prepared for anything in a stock like this. But I really want to see a bounce off 280, hopefully for tomorrow. And maybe if the markets are more bullish tomorrow, if we do get somewhat of a nice balance from SPY and the futures and the overall market, maybe Tesla could push a little higher than this, maybe, but I don't see it really like lasting too long. I really believe that even if we balance and push it up a bit, we could see a lot more red for next week as well, because I don't think we're necessarily done just yet. Now, one of the important things to note is the fact that the market is not moving based on fundamentals. Fundamentally, Tesla is a very strong company. There are other very strong companies that are super strong fundamentally, and yet they're taking these big hits. So when the market shifts, when we're not as worried about the Fed and what they're doing, Jerome Powell did end up coming out as very hawkish, and he is prepared to raise rates even more. And now the market is preparing for an even more hawkish rate hike for the month of November, which is very possible. Right now, 50 to 75 basis points are on the table, and many investors are now anticipating 75 basis points again for November. So the markets right now are just moving based off that. Fundamentals are not driving us yet, but once we get that big shift, once inflation starts to come down, as Jerome Powell mentioned yesterday, that's when fundamentals will be key and Tesla will return once the recovery starts. With that said, there is one more thing I want to note, and that's the fact that when you look at historical data, the market tends to get these big drops. You guys can see, like right here near the end of September, as we approach October. And I really believe we may end up seeing something very similar to this, the market dropping, starting to kind of trade sideways, remain flat for some time in October. Then all of a sudden, as we approach maybe the second week of October, the market might actually start to rally out of nowhere, and people will just be impressed. They'll be mesmerized by what we're seeing. And this is typically what happens during these midterm elections. So I still stand by this. The only problem with this is I can't guarantee it because it also depends on alternative factors. And unless something like really big happens in the market, unless that actually happens, I really see this happening, guys. I still think we should get a nice rally going into midterms. Until then, we're waiting for the market to really like bottom, find a nice bottom, and start to kind of consolidate in these ranges from here. With that said, guys, the last thing I want to talk about is what Elon Musk mentioned that's super important for Tesla. Right here, Stock Talk Weekly stated that a headline is circulating this morning that Tesla is recalling 1.1 million vehicles. This is typical fun that really comes out. And then they mentioned that Tesla said it will perform an over the air software update to solve the issue with the automatic window reversal system. So, once again, a very simple fix. Elon Musk responded, the terminology is outdated and inaccurate. This is a tiny over the air software update. To the best of our knowledge, there have been no injuries whatsoever so far. So, what's the point behind this? This is something I mentioned in my older videos when we were actually talking more about the news and less about the Fed and the markets. Right now, there's lots of FUD spreading, and the markets, they tend to actually be involved in this, just to be honest with everyone. So what happens is these big articles come out, they say Tesla's a bad company, they're going to crash. Oh, they have a big recall coming up. Well, a recall has different contexts. That's not a true conventional recall. It's just a software update for a car, which is like something that's super, super unconventional. And they're doing whatever they can to twist the news. And Elon Musk is letting everyone know that you're not seeing the truth all the time. So what happens is these narratives push, the shorts start to pile in, they start selling, they induce some panic, and that's why we start to see Tesla take bigger hits when it isn't even their fault or when news like this are just exaggerated. So I wanted to make that as clear as possible. This is what Elon Musk is stating. So please, guys, don't necessarily fall for everything you basically read. Don't believe every single headline. Remain calm, cool, and collected. Do what you have to do, and do lots of research, and be careful with what you really believe on the internet, because things out there have their narratives, they have different agendas. I mean, I have to be as frank as possible when saying it. So please, please, please be wary of all these things. Anyways, Tesla's still very strong fundamentally. I'm sure in the future I will go into way more details about the fundamentals because those will be way more important for the share price. Right now, the market is moving based off the Fed. It's very annoying, inflation, the economy, and all these things, but we have to do what we have to do. And please note that in the future, once the market recovers, once things improve, that's when Tesla is going to really prevail because their fundamentals keep getting stronger as they expand, as we see more and more production in Germany. I'm still super bullish long term. For the short term, I do anticipate a little bit of chop. Anyways, guys, thank you all so much for listening. Have an absolutely fantastic rest of the day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Tesla to the moon because the long term future is bright, and peace out.